An expert in Europe has just revealed how much money automakers in Europe will have to pay Tesla in 2025 because of emissions fines and new emissions regulations. The numbers are pretty staggering. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. In 2024, by the end of 2024, Tesla had made nearly 11 billion US dollars from the sales of their regulatory tax credits to other automakers. That's a lot of money, nearly 11 billion US dollars. And in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, analysts and so-called experts have claimed that all this gravy train, all this money Tesla keeps making from these sales of these regulatory credits would dry up. It would go. Even Tesla themselves thought it would. And they were wrong. And they're still very wrong because actually Tesla's going to make at least another 2 billion US dollars, potentially 2.5 billion in 2025. Mona Lavasha, Forvia's Director of Connected Software Services, says that EU emissions pooling could generate around 1 billion US dollars for Tesla. So what's likely to happen in 2025 is European automakers will struggle again. Their sales will decrease, their costs will continue to rise, their profits will continue to fall, and they'll have to pay Tesla more money than ever before for regulatory credits. Remember that in 2025, there are new emissions rules in Europe, and there are very few automakers in Europe, if any, that are actually in position to actually meet them. BMW might actually meet them because a much higher percentage of its car sales in 2024 were EVs than in 2023. And if they keep trending in that direction, BMW might not have to become a taxpayer or a credit payer. But almost everyone else is going to be. Tesla is banding together with rivals like Ford and Toyota and others to help them meet tough new European emissions rules. So, ironically, Toyota, who have said that they're giving customers choice and they've got any type of drivetrain you want, and their vehicles are completely emissions free, all these kinds of comments they've made, right? They will be paying Tesla in 2025. UBS analysts estimated the move will net Tesla more than $1 billion in compensation. The EV giant is banding together with other automakers, and the reason for this is that if these automakers don't do this, if they don't actually pool with Tesla and essentially pay Tesla all this money, then the fines are even bigger. So it's either pay double the money in fines or pay Tesla half the money. And obviously, they're willing to pay Tesla half the money. Now, these automakers hate doing this. Stellantis have mentioned on numerous occasions, they hate giving Tesla all this money because they've been doing it for years. European manufacturers face tough emissions targets this year. And that will mean that they'll continue to sponsor their competition. The strict new measures come even as electric vehicle sales across the continent have stagnated, with several countries rolling back subsidies for customers buying EVs. But it was actually announced within a few hours of this video that the European bloc is actually working on new subsidies for electric cars in Europe this year. They feel like they're falling behind China. They're falling behind so fast and so far that if they don't reveal subsidies for EVs this year, then they will be essentially crushed by their Chinese rivals. Car makers lagging behind on electric vehicle sales have the option to pool with rivals to average out their emissions, effectively buying carbon credits from companies like Tesla. And they'll do this with other companies like Volvo and Polestar as well. Toyota, Ford, Stellantis, and Mazda were among the automakers who pooled with Tesla in 2024, according to a European Union filing released on Wednesday, with Mercedes-Benz forming a separate pool with Volvo and EV brand Polestar. Now, the reason that Mercedes-Benz pooled with Volvo and Polestar is because the company is part owned by Geely, and Geely own Volvo and Polestar. A report from UBS analysts on Wednesday found that Tesla's total compensation for selling credits to its pooled rivals will exceed $1 billion, while Volvo and Polestar could be in line to bank around $300 million. Of course, Tesla's regulated credits of $1 billion, that figure could increase. And the reason for that is because if Tesla is able to sell more cars with a cheaper, we've heard there's a cheaper Model Y coming, if they do bring in a cheaper Model Y, say something 10 to 20% cheaper, and they have the new Model Y Juniper, that might provide a nice boost to their sales in 2025. Selling regulated credits to rivals who are lagging behind on EV sales has been an incredibly lucrative business for Tesla over the last few years. And to give you some context on just how lucrative it is, Tesla made $740 million US in the third quarter of 2024 alone. $740 million US in 3 months for doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's a brilliant business model, isn't it? Now, Tesla's rivals have known about this for a long time, a very long time. So they've had many years to put themselves in position to benefit from this scenario, or at least not pay Tesla. And yet they've failed to do so. I find that very weird. Tesla's regulatory credits business has long been expected to diminish as other automakers' EV efforts pick up speed. But it has remained strong as lackluster demand for electric vehicles in Europe, why? Because a lot of European EVs are just too expensive, has left many of the company's rivals struggling to meet emissions targets. That will soon change. Incoming US President and Elon Musk's political ally, Donald Trump, has promised to roll back emissions targets in the US and EV regulations once in office. JP Morgan analysts recently warned that removing EV regulations and subsidies could cost Tesla as much as $3.2 billion and could actually cost the US car market many more billions on top of that. Now, as you can see, Tesla's going to continue to benefit from this gravy train. It's not stopping anytime soon. And regardless of what Donald Trump does, it makes almost no difference to this game. And the reason is because most of Tesla's regulated credits don't come from the United States. They come from Europe and China. So Tesla will continue to make insane profits, while Tesla's rivals, who are now, to be honest, all struggling, they're all crowing about how great they were doing a couple of years ago. Now they're all struggling, and they're in a position where not only do they have these huge debts, I mean, enormous debts. I've talked about those debts in separate videos. I've talked about the insanely large debt burdens that they have. I mean, look at Nissan. Same thing for Nissan, right? Enormous debt burden forces them to become a subsidiary of Honda. Literally, they are a subsidiary. It's not a joint venture partnership. Honda is in charge. All these debt burdens, and at the same time, their sales are shrinking. The amount of money they're going to pay to their rivals is actually going up.